Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Alien Bacon. Today, we got a mystical one for you. I'm not entirely sure what this is about, like usual.
Yeah, me neither.
Apparently, it's like the real life Stranger Things. Like the woman that we're talking about today has some crazy abilities, apparently. Do you believe in that type of thing, Aaron?
Like the whole like psychic power type thing?
Yeah, like mystics and that sort of thing.
I don't know.
Crystal balls.
I definitely feel like there's shit that we don't understand or we don't know. I mean, I don't think it's like the sci-fi, telepathy, like people could throw shit with their minds or whatever. I don't think it's that far, but I definitely do think there's probably shit that people can do that we don't understand, which is probably what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. What I believe is I don't think psychics are real. I think all that is baloney, and I don't believe. I don't believe in crystals or witchcraft or any of that. But I do believe that people have some sort of semblance of like sewer powers if they put their mind to it, like monks. You know, like they can raise their internal temperature and stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like I'm not entirely like I can't be positive that this stuff isn't real, but I have an inkling that it. Like most of it is just bullshit.
You want to know the reason? It's like the alien thing. The main reason why you can't tell what's real and what's fake is because there's so much fake. Like same with ghosts, like Ghost, for example. Like no one not no one. Obviously, there's plenty of people who believe it, but most people don't believe it because like there's so much bullshit. Like you don't know what is the real thing and what isn't the real thing. Like there could be complete proof of ghost right now, but we don't know because it's like we don't know what's the real video and what's the fake video and shit like that.
Yeah. And then there's stuff like Bigfoot. Like obviously it's not real, but for some reason.
It's just a hairy man.
There's so many people out there that believe he's real. And I'm just like sitting there like, what? Like if it was real, there would be evidence of it, like the giant squid. Like that's like something that's kind of creepy and weird. There's like images of it, of people catching them and stuff like that. Like if the Bigfoot was real, there'd be proof. You know what I mean?
And that's why this story is important because it is documented. There's loads and loads of evidence apparently about the situation. And from what I've heard about the story, this is what actually inspired the character 11 in Stranger Things, because this is apparently real. So we'll see.
We're about to have our minds split open.
Yeah.
We're about to realize the truth of our world.
We're about to open our third eye.
Yes.
The following story is one you're not likely to believe. The life of Nina Kulagina. That is a cool name. Kulagina?
I like how it rhymes.
Nina Kulagina sounds like it belongs in a Stranger Things episode rather than the pages of history. And yet, to this day, even experts can't be completely certain of the truth. Nina's life began in Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg, Russia, in 1926. The Russian spelling of her name, Ninel, Lenin spelled backwards, became a popular name in the years after Vladimir Lenin's death in 1924. It's kind of weird. You name...
I know, it's like...
Damn, I really loved this Vlad guy. Like, this Vlad guy got it. I'm going to name my child after this guy.
But not just name them after him. Like, they took his last name and reversed it. Like, oh, that'd be neat.
And apparently it was popular. Like, that's wild. Like imagine if people did Trump backwards.
I know.
like something like that. It's just like, what?
Like so a bunch of random people had now just named, like, Pamert. Pamert.
Dude, I would like that. I would like that trend. Especially in the city where the storming of Winter Palace and assassination of the Romanovs led to the Bolshevik Revolution. I totally got that right. In the early years of Nina's life, Leningrad was one of Russia's cultural jewels, retaining its grandeur and elegance from the imperial era. A bustling, lively city, it was filled with ornate architecture, beautiful canals, wide boulevards, gardens, shops, cafes, and theaters. With Soviet political changes uprooting the country, it was known as the window to the West and an important center for progress in education, arts, and sciences. Nina likely spent happy years there in her childhood, but these prosperous days wouldn't last. Leningrad's mood grew darker as reports of Hitler's army progressing across Europe reached them. The The city was fortified and many of its landmarks were disguised or shielded to prevent destruction. In 1941, the Nazi Wehrmacht arrived at city's gates, and the siege of Leningrad, one of the longest and most brutal battles in history, began. Wehrmacht. Should I have said it like that?
Wehrmacht. I think W's are V's.
Oh, Wehrmacht. Wehrmacht.
Wehrmacht.
There we go.
Wehrmacht.
You have to say it angrily.
Yeah.
With some stank to it. Nina was 14 years old when war turned her life upside down. Like many citizens, including women and children, she, along with her father and 2 siblings, joined the Soviet Red Army to help defend the city. Nina served as a tank radio operator, regularly finding herself in active combat at just 14. Jesus Christ.
14?
A tank radio operator at 14?
That's craziness.
That is wild.
At 14, I was charging up my ki as Goku.
yeah, exactly. Like, what the hell? They were living the real thing. God damn. That's insane. There would have been constant terror of bombardments and starvation while Leningrad descended into chaos around her. German forces encircled the city, severing supply lines and trapping the population of nearly 3 million inside its fortifications. Bombing damaged power plants, cutting off electricity and heating. Temperatures plunged while residents burned furniture, books, and anything else they could to find to keep warm. Food supplies were dwindling to nothing and rations dropped to as little as 125 grams of bread, or about half a baguette per day. Refugees from the nearby countryside were not given rations, and with the city bursting with starving people, neighbors began killing each other for ration cards. God damn.
Sounds like a great time.
You know, sometimes, I think life sucks around this time, but, then you hear something like that. Like, you know what? We got it pretty good, don't we?
I know.
We have a pretty good time.
In perspective.
Yeah. After food supplies ran out completely, desperate Leningradettes looked for anything remotely edible. Wallpaper paste, leather belts, and furniture glue containing traces of flour or starch. As time wore on, people were faced with the reality that no supplies were coming. Citizens slaughtered beloved pets, dogs, cats, and even pigeons before turning to the human bodies lining the streets from starvation or exposure. Isn't it? All right. Jesus Christ.
They were desperate.
My God. All right.
What the heck? You're eating leather belts and furniture glue?
Yeah, we got a story about a documented psychic. We got to start with some horrible, traumatic past. Is this?
Yeah, I guess.
God damn. That is horrible. The siege would last almost 3 years. Citizens hid precious art and artifacts from the Hermitage Museum in basements, and an orchestra of survivors played the famous performance of Shostakovich's Leningrad Symphony in 1942 to a starving, freezing audience. By 1944, half the city's population had died. What a childhood to live through. Kulagina's work as a tank radio operator involved maintaining communication under incredibly high-pressure conditions. Tanks were prime targets, and Nina was involved in several bombings during her time in the war. Watching friends and comrades fall around her, on top of the genocide and cannibalism in the city, when she was 17 in the final year of the siege on Leningrad, Nina was caught in a bombing that wounded her in the abdomen. She spoke later of the extreme stress of her wartime experiences and how the bombing may have unlocked something within her. Oh?
It's like a superhero story.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. This is like I swear, this is definitely like a superhero story right now. God damn.
Yeah, something like the bomb and the radiation and got inside her. Now she has these abilities.
See, we were talking about superpowers in the beginning. This is documented evidence of superheroes.
This is the real thing. Honestly, sounds like an awful way to grow up.
Terrible way to get superpowers. I'll tell you. I would not recommend that. God damn.
You thought Batman was bad or like Spider-Man. Like, god damn, why doesn't she have a comic book based on her?
Yeah.
Like,
why is no one talking about her? God damn.
This is way more intense than what you read in comic books.
God. It took the Soviet Red Army 3 years to push back the Nazis and break the siege, but in 1944, Leningrad was finally freed. In the years after the war, Nina tried to scrape together some semblance of a normal life. The post-war years under Stalin's rule were still difficult for the people of Leningrad. They would have still been under strict rationing and government oversight as people worked hard industrial jobs to rebuild their city. In the late 1940s, Nina married former naval engineer and member of the local Communist Party committee, Viktor Kulagin, with whom she had 3 children.
I think you said that name perfectly.
Did I?
Good job.
Did I do it? I did it.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. I think. I don't know. Maybe
Watch,
maybe
I'm completely wrong. Not all of her scars from the war had healed. She was left with chronic, intense headaches, nausea, and episodes of fainting. In later interviews, she spoke about noticing unusual sensations, like tingling in her hands and strange feelings of energy or heat in her body. Things sometimes happened around her that neither she nor anyone else could explain. Poltergeist activity, like the time a vase slid off a countertop and smashed, seemed to coincide with when she was feeling emotional. Despite these unusual experiences, she was dedicated to her family and spent the 1950s as a regular Soviet housewife.
She's charging up her powers. This is just the beginning.
And then some like dude in like a black cloak sees her one day and he's like, so have you noticed things happening around you that you can't explain? What?
Yeah, that seems like something that would happen.
How did you know?
I know, right?
Would you like to control these abilities of yours?
I know. He's like wearing that like typical black suit with black glasses.
Yeah.
Come with us if you want to live.
Yeah, if you would like to come with us, take the red pill. if you want. In the early 1960s, after over a decade of chronic pain and PTSD from the war, Nina was hospitalized for a nervous breakdown. She took up embroidery while recovering in the hospital, which was where she first noticed a specific quote-unquote power. She was able to choose the correct color of embroidery thread from a bag held out to her by a nurse every single time without looking. The nurses were impressed but didn't read too much into it.
Dang, what the heck? That's pretty crazy if that's real.
Yeah, and we're just beginning. Her powers, they're gonna grow, right? That's how these stories work out.
Yeah, she's gonna start like lifting people than buildings.
Yeah. In 1963, Nina heard a radio report about a woman who could quote unquote see colors with her fingers. She told her husband that she could also do that, recounting to him her experience in the hospital a couple years earlier. He initially didn't believe her, so to test the theory, she repeatedly performed the skill blindfolded in front of him. Intrigued, they continued to test Nina's abilities at home. They discovered that she could also read text, discern the dates on coins, and accurately reproduce simple drawings made by him in a separate room. Oh, wow. If real, that's cool.
I know. That's like the thing. Like, all of this has to come with the caveat or like the asterisk. If it's real.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Chat, is this real?
Like, source, bro, trust me.
Yeah. The couple started to become convinced, making the connection that the strange occurrences that often happened while Nina was around might not be a ghost or coincidence, but something she was actually doing. Victor encouraged her to practice with her abilities, concentrating on objects to see if she could affect them. Her first feat took her some time to accomplish, but eventually Nina managed to move an envelope. Now, I mean...
It was the wind.
Yeah, like, dude, I've seen those videos where people put a piece of paper and then they like move their hands and then the wind from them moving their hands knocks it down.
Yeah.
That's a little bit reach here, but we'll see.
Were they inside? If they were inside, then that's weird.
Well, I mean, well, that's the point is like you move your hands really fast and like the gust of wind from your hands knocks it over. Or you just like blow out of your mouth, but no one can tell or something like that.
Oh, yeah, it's like, just look down at the envelope. Don't look at me for a second.
Yeah.
Look, it moved.
Encouraged, she practiced with her abilities more and more, discovering that an extended period of preparation and meditation made her more able to reliably use the control of her skills. Victor took home videos of her moving matchsticks and cigarette boxes. They began encasing the items in glass boxes to show that Nina had no access to them through magician's tricks. Okay. All right. Do we have those videos though?
Oh shit, here we go.
Was to prevent any possibility of her using magnets or an electrostatic charge or even blowing objects with her breath.
No way, dude.
Hold up.
Again,
What?
the results were startling.
Get out of here. No way. Fuck off.
I don't know, man. Like that could be like magnet under the table.
That's what I'm thinking. But they said specifically no magnets, didn't they?
Yeah, they did say in the video specifically no magnets.
Kyle filmed Kulagina at work in her own home.
It looks like bullshit, but
yeah.
What do they say in the comments?
Okay, let's look at the top comment. They left out the parts where she handles the item she is going to move. This is when she attaches the string with magician's wax. A fine thread is stuck to the item and attached to her leg under the table. She pulls the string to move them and waves her hands over the string to prevent you from seeing it. This is why only certain items move, and they always move in a straight line towards a point at the edge of the table. The string pulling is unaffected by the plastic box because it just slides under the edge of the box.
Sneaky woman.
Dude, if this is just an elaborate troll and she just like magicianed all over everybody and they couldn't tell, that's going to be amazing.
That's what it seems like to me. That's her biggest achievement here, is fooling all these people.
But we'll see, because apparently there's more evidence, but we'll see. In order to move things successfully, Nina had to meditate and focus her mind entirely on the object, visualizing it, moving until she felt a burning sensation deep in her core that would shoot up her spine and extend beyond her skin. When she felt the heat, she knew she had been successful. However, there was a cost to her powers. She would have headaches, pain in her spine, blurred eyesight, and fainting spells after practicing.
Yeah, I mean, all that effort, to use telepathy.
I mean,
gotta be.
If real, it makes sense. We don't want her to be OP, right? There always has to be like a weakness. That's her kryptonite, right?
Yeah, give and take, right? Like she can't just do it all the time.
Like slightly moving things on a table, like it's got to come with a cost. The couple continued to observe her skills quietly at home for some time, before eventually confiding to a doctor that Nina could do inexplicable things and about the physical symptoms it caused her. Although not entirely convinced, the doctor asked his local medical network about her case, which attracted attention from local researchers and parapsychologists. One such researcher was Dr. Leonid Vasilev, a well-respected professor of physiology at Leningrad University. Vasilev had been interested in telepathy research since the late 1920s, having visited physiological institutes in Berlin, Kiel, Frankfurt, and Paris, and observed the experiments of Eugene, director of the Institut Metaphysique International. Institut Metaphysique. Vasilev had already written a major publication about quote-unquote mental suggestion by the time he met Kulagina, Mysterious Phenomena of the Human Psyche, which was translated to English by the U.S. Defense Department in 1959. When he heard about Kulagina's case, he invited her to begin a series of experiments with him. Dude, if it was translated by the U.S. Defense Department, this is some serious shit.
And they were really interested. They wanted the inside scoop on this superhuman.
Vasilev started by testing Nina's claims of dermal optical perception, the ability to sense colors and images through touch. Despite most experiments in DOP having been debunked by evidence of cheating, Vasilev couldn't find any signs of trickery in his experiments with Nina. They got positive results, and Vasilev determined that Nina was the real thing.
Bullshit!
Now, my thing is, the only thing that sounds remotely believable is the color thing. So far,
I don't know. Maybe
there's
got to be some sort of trick.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. If she's the one who picks the threads, if she's the one who decides, like brings her own bag of like threads or something, then I don't believe it. But if someone else is bringing a bag in, and then she does it, then it's slightly believable to an extent.
there's got to be something that we don't know that she knows that helps her do this, you know?
Yeah, she's a psychic. Duh.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So obviously she knows more than we do. Like, come on.
I was mistaken. My bad.
You got to have some faith in this, all right? It's still going. There's going to be more. It's going to get better. His belief in her gave Nina confidence to share her telepathic claims with him. She was cautious to speak to anyone about her most extreme unusual ability due to strict atheistic law in the USSR. Any propagation of shamanism would have been punishable by sentence in the gulags, not to mention public shunning and ridicule.
Damn, really? What the hell?
They send her to the gulag just for that?
I thought like punishing witchcraft was like an American thing. I guess they're doing that shit in Russia too.
Well, it's shamanism. Crazy. That's more of like a spiritual thing. Instead of like, I mean, witchcraft is kind of a spiritual thing too.
Yeah.
Those are kind of in the same boat. Yeah.
I guess instead of being burned alive, they're just sending you to the gulag.
Yeah. God damn it! She's a witch! Send her to the gulag! God damn. Nina showed Vasilev the home videos made. Okay, come on. You can't, no. Not the home videos. You gotta show him physically.
I know.
Home videos don't count. Nina showed Vasilev the home videos made with her husband of her telepathy experiments. He was intrigued and proposed to continue experiments with their, starting investigations into her claims of telepathy. Vasilev would continue his experiments with Nina for the next several years until his death in 1966. The general setup of their experiments involved Kulagina sitting at a table with one or more objects placed in front of her: matchsticks, an empty box of matches, a cigarette, an empty metal salt shaker, a wristwatch, etc. She would attempt to concentrate and move the objects while Vasilev measured different variables, such as tracking medical effects on her body, measuring electromagnetic currents, filming her with special infrared and Kirlian cameras, and measuring her brain activities with EEG. Dude, if they're going to this much of a length to document her shit while at the same time she's just like trolling him, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too.
Yeah.
Like, if they're in on it, then it's not impressive.
Yeah.
Like if they're just trying to like create this phenomenon, I don't know, for whatever reason, or if they're like genuinely interested and want to like get to the bottom of it and she's just fooling them, that's pretty crazy.
That's what I'm having trouble believing is if they are genuine researchers who want to like have real shit and she's fooling all of them, that's impressive.
Yeah.
As Vasilev continued his studies of Kulagina and her name began to appear in some of his published reports, other researchers became interested in their work. Scientists both inside USSR and in Europe and the US requested to test Kulagina's claims themselves. Oh, wow.
So everybody wants a piece of this woman. They're like, everybody wants to know the truth.
I'm just saying,
Crazy.
If Kulagina's not legit and not real, I'm impressed. Like, I'm not even mad. Yeah, if she's not genuine and she's just fucking with everyone, that's genuinely impressive.
It's just crazy she got so much like attention and so many, like, these aren't just like random people that want to interview her or whatever. Like like countries are reaching out and they're like, prove to us that you can do this shit.
I think that's what makes the story so like, you know, not sure whether or not it's real.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff.
She was studied by more than 25 scientists over the course of her life. Soviet scientist Sergeyev, Albandrov, Gulyevyev, and Adamenko. I said that in
that was great.
I said that in like the widest way possible. Oh my God. As well as European and US researchers like Jarl I. Fowler, H.H. Kell, Zdegnek Rejdak. I'm sorry, I'm so bad. Shelia Ostrander, Lynn Schroeder, and Elizabeth Targ. She was studied at Leningrad University, Moscow University, Academy of Sciences of the USSR, the Institute of Radio Engineering and Electronics, and the University of Chemistry and Technology in Prague. God damn.
Prague.
Yes. The one thing that I should have gotten right out of all that. Prague.
I know all of these names are just weird.
Yeah, I know.
But we're Americans. We can't pronounce anything.
Yeah. Forgive my Americanness.
I know.
Kulagina's experiments are well documented. There is video footage of her moving objects like matches and salt shakers across the table, sometimes encased in glass boxes and other times not. She can be seen spinning a compass needle, stopping a pendulum, burning through a string, moving a hydrometer, and keeping a scale balanced as weight was changed. She was observed changing the direction of an acoustic sound, interacting with lasers, and separating egg yolks from whites. There are photographs of Nina levitating a small ball, but no video recording of this particular experiment. In some cases, Nina herself was placed behind glass or acrylic shields, or in a dark or soundproof room to prevent any physical or visual contact with the item. Okay.
What
All
the
right.
hell?
If real, Nina, that's pretty cool.
This is insane.
Yeah, I told you.
What the hell?
It's got to be getting better. Like, ain't no way it just stops at just like a string pull. If they went through that many lengths to make sure she's legit.
Separating egg yolks from whites with her mind, that's crazy.
6.5 hours later.
So we just watched a couple little videos of her doing these experiments and tests. I don't know, they're all on tables and she's just like waving her hand over them and making things move. Like, they should put a camera underneath the table too.
Yeah.
And, like, focus on her feet. Like, what are her feet doing? Is there any shenanigans happening underneath the table? Like,
but there's also loads and loads of clips of her like in a like a science room with a bunch of like, machines and technology around her and a bunch of cameras and shit while she's also doing stuff. So it also is like, I don't know if this is a hoax, like there has to be hundreds of people involved in the hoax. If that many scientists and that's the only thing that's making it like not so sure whether or not it's real.
Although, I live in Vegas and I've seen, in this city, there's a ton of magic shows. Like, that's one of the things that's one of the selling points of the city. Like, that's why there's a lot of tourism. There's like a ton of very, very good magicians here. And I've seen my fair share of those shows. And the things that these people can pull off are genuinely astounding. Like when you watch these magic tricks, your mind is blown. Like, if you feel like they're actually performing magic, but obviously they're not, So I just feel like she might just be trained to do this stuff somehow. The only thing that's weird about it is that there's no, like, usually magicians need preparation or like some sort of like.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, that's why I keep going back to her doing it in these areas with all of these people around her. Like, because, these magicians need a huge setup. They need everything planned accordingly. They need to have all their stuff in the right spot at the right time. Like, this is just like.
And the audience is like, during those magic shows, the audience is facing a specific direction. Like, they know how it's going to play out. For her, that she's being brought into these like research facilities and put into, I don't know, like she has very little control over the environment. So that's why I think this specific case is very strange. I don't know.
Like, it just seems weird that the only thing that's keeping me not sure is the fact that if this is fake, it's just like, why? I
know.
Like, why go through all of this?
Money.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like selling t-shirts with her face on them.
Yeah, she didn't become famous. Like, she's not, I don't know. Like, there's loads of.
Like, kind of famous. But
I mean, kind of.
But yeah, it is weird. Like, they're not selling her.
Yeah.
And they're not like profiting off of her in any way. So like, what's the motive here if it is all fake? I don't know. Even if you put Houdini in this situation, like, it'd be tough for him to like pull magic tricks out of his ass with this random stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Well, let's see. There's going to be more, definitely. So, to the delight of the USSR military research, Kulagina's abilities had the potential for darker applications too. See, that's why I thought all the governments got involved. Is because they were like, we could use this for like war in some manner. I don't know how, but
yeah. Like convince other nations that she'll like put a spell on them.
Yeah. She was known to be able to cause shocks and burns that left red marks on the skin, but no blisters. A phenomenon circles like to refer to as stigmata. One particularly famous experiment performed in front of international scientists observed her stopping the beating heart of a frog. Yo, why?
No way.
Yo, you just killed a frog just because? Damn, not
She
cool.
did it with her mind?
It's like, heart, stop. Frog just dies.
That's scary.
Yeah, if real, that's genuinely terrifying if she can do that.
Do you know what I think is happening here? I think that she had at least one accomplice, that like one sort of like scientist guy or researcher, some person she knew was helping her fool all these people. Like they probably put like some sort of serum into this frog that stopped its heart, and I don't know. There's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
I don't know. There's too much. I don't know. I can't go one way or the other. Another reported that she raised a researcher's heart rate to a dangerous level before the experiment was halted. Got someone excited? Okay. Experiments were usually repeated multiple times with some sessions lasting many hours. Nina had about a 80% success rate in her sessions, but there were some notable conditions where she performed less well. In a thunderstorm or extremely hot weather, when fatigued or feeling negative emotions, or when she felt she was under scrutiny by a hostile observer.
Or when her accomplice wasn't there.
But one accomplice, though. It's got to be many accomplices. It couldn't just be one. There's no way.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
She never moved objects heavier than 100 grams and could not affect objects in a vacuum. One of the most interesting facts of Kulagina's experiments, and one that is undeniable even by skeptics, is that the process left pronounced physical effects on Nina's body that were recorded in the sessions.
Like what? Let's
find out. Her heart rate was shown to reach as high as 240 beats per minute, compared to her resting heart rate of 85 and working heart rate of 132. She lost as much as 2 kilograms or 4 pounds of body weight during sessions, far more than is possible with the same amount of strenuous physical exercise. She would get extreme exhaustion, dizziness, pain in the neck, upper spine, legs and feet, general aches, intense headaches, fainting spells, and a metallic taste in her mouth. She sometimes required breaks from multiple days between sessions. Later in her life, she suffered several heart attacks, the worst of which in the late 70s caused her to perform far fewer experiments in the last decade of her life. Nina eventually died of heart trouble in 1990 and may link her declining health and death at the age of 63 to her long-term stress and lack of freedom she experienced as a USSR guinea pig. Due to Soviet laws, Nina was never allowed to financially benefit from her experiments or public demonstrations.
Okay, now I'm convinced that this is so weird, dude. Like
that's what I'm saying.
She's a guinea pig for the USSR. Like that can't be fun, and she's not making any money from this. Like what if she's really trying to fool everybody, and this is all like a scam? Then like, what's the point?
Exactly. See, that's what makes it so confusing. Is it's like, if this is fake, it makes zero sense why it would be fake.
I mean, maybe she's like a weirdo that like actually believes she has these powers and like.
Well, like obviously she believes it, yeah, but
yeah, and like I don't know, when you believe in something, like I've seen some people who believe in religion that do some crazy shit.
But this is basically her getting tortured, if you think about it. If she goes through all of that shit every time she does these experiments, like that's basically torture. And she doesn't make any money. She had declining health. She gets heart attacks from it. If all of these side effects are real, that just sounds like torture.
It sounds like she has like a mental disorder of some sort, or like some sort of.
She's a psychic.
There's something going on here.
Yeah, like I said, she's a psychic.
But like, since she definitely believes that she has these abilities, she probably thinks that if she pushes herself hard enough, that she'll like make these things happen. You know?
Well, she's
probably just like.
that's the point.
It's just weird.
I know it's weird. I agree. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm in the same boat as you. I just, the only thing that's confusing me is why the hell would it be fake? Like, it makes zero sense that this would be fake.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes zero sense that it's real.
The weirdest part is that she was able to pull off so much crazy shit.
In the eyes of hundreds of scientists. consistently. Yeah. She was often tested alongside another reported psychic, Alla Vinogradova, who researchers determined was more skilled in her telepathic abilities and who experienced far less psychological stress than Nina in her experiments.
No!
Not subject to the same pain and heart trouble in the aftermath of working with her abilities. Vinogradova never gave public demonstrations or interviews, although her name is often found alongside Kulagina's in CIA declassified files on Soviet parapsychology research.
All right. Well,
dude, if you don't have the balls to do it in public, come on.
I know. This Alla Vinogradova is a sham.
She's a copycat.
She's copycat sham.
She's trying to get the attention.
Kulagina is the real deal.
Yeah, she's the real one, all right? With a story as extreme as Kulagina's, she had plenty of critics and skeptics throughout her life. Many questioned the scientific rigor of the experiments, suggesting it would have been the USSR's interest for other countries to believe that they had psychic weapons. Only some of the experiments were completed in a lab under scientific conditions, such as her demonstration of stopping a frog's heart. Others were set up like demonstrations, sometimes taking place in hotel rooms or Kulagina's home. However, CIA documents confirm that at least some of the experiments, including some conducted and observed by US researchers, were conducted with scientific rigor. However, there are still many that claim both now and during her lifetime that Nina used simple parlor tricks well known to magicians such as strings and magnets to move objects without touching them. Some critics come from a report by the Institute of Metrology, which claimed that a strong magnetic field was detected around Kulagina's body, leading some to conclude that she was concealing magnets.
I knew it.
That the first video we saw definitely looked like magnet under the table.
Yeah,
I'll admit that.
For
yeah,
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, those Russians, man. They're up to no good, dude. Trying to fool the world.
Although there is no evidence of a sleight of hand expert ever observing her in person, several illusionists have analyzed her recorded demonstrations, suggesting her abilities could likely be replicated with standard magic techniques like hidden magnets, fine threads, or static electricity. Other than a few related claims, such as those about Alla Vinogradova, the extensive and detailed reports of her experimentation have been unable to produce consistent, replicable evidence that can be peer-tested to scientific standard. Ostrander and Schroeder, some of the Western scientists that studied Nina, report that she faced some legal troubles in her life, resulting in a short jail sentence that was commuted to time in a hospital. Kulagina allegedly tried to act as a broker to help neighbors buy scarce refrigerators and furniture, which led to complaints and a charge against her. Her critics take this as evidence that she was known to be dishonest in other areas of her life, and therefore is likely to have fabricated tales of her abilities as well. Although she could not officially benefit from her work, she received widespread attention from national and international media. Yeah, I mean, there is that. Maybe she just enjoyed being the center of attention of everything.
I think it's mostly just like the USSR being weird and trying to convince the rest of the world they have like this superhuman. But yeah, she might have enjoyed the attention, but I don't know if it'd be worth being a guinea pig.
But now I could see why this is or 11 was based off of this person of Kulagina, because it lines up very well. In 1986, Kulagina brought a defamation trial against the popular broadsheet Pravda, the official newspaper of the Central Committee of the Communist Party, for accusing her of cheating. Witnesses for her defense were prominent figures she had made throughout her life, including reputable scientists, a journalist, a documentary filmmaker, and Soviet citizens who had witnessed her demonstrations. They testified that her demonstrations were legitimate by their own observations and that she had never been shown to seek publicity or profit. Nina won the lawsuit, with the court ruling that the magazine could produce no tangible evidence of fraud by Kulagina. Although they were clear that the ruling was in no way evidence of her abilities, Pravda was ordered to issue a retraction. Pravda.
Right.
Pravda? Pravda. By the 1980s, with significant cultural changes underway in the Soviet Union, enthusiasm for psychic research was waning. Lack of reproducible results or applicable uses, as well as increasing scrutiny, led to a decline in research funding and opportunities for Nina to demonstrate her abilities. During her lifetime, however, Nina was part of a cultural climate of research into the unknown that colored the Cold War years. The Soviets were not the only ones researching psychic abilities like telepathy, dowsing, psychic nonverbal communication with both people and animals, mind control, and psychological responses to drugs, poison, and more. They also went down even stranger routes, like surgically reanimating the dead and genetic mutation with radiation.
What is this?
Zombies?
Frankenstein.
Fucking
like, what the hell?
Making Frankenstein and zombies? Like,
they were doing some crazy shit during the Cold War.
God damn. They were pulling out all the stops. Like, fuck it. Let's see if we could make zombies or something. I don't know.
I know, like this. They were like, you know what? Maybe those sci-fi movies were onto something.
Yeah. They worked at sci-fi movies and just worked backwards from there.
Yeah,
like go down the line.
We can make this real.
Yeah. The CIA was not only very interested in what the Soviets were looking into, but also conducted extensive human experimentation on their own as part of the psychic arms race.
Well, there was a psychic arms race?
The psychic arms race, dude. No
what?
Way.
No way. That is weird.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that.
I cannot believe
that's amazing.
That's a real thing. Like countries were competing with each other.
Who's gonna create the best psychic?
You know, that makes it make a lot more sense, honestly.
Yeah.
That like Russia would want to like win over America in the psychic arm race.
It just makes me think of that episode of South Park where they were like trying to all be psychics or whatever, and they had that psychic battle. That's gonna be our wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pew, pew, pew. Doing shit like that.
It'll happen.
We'll see. Anything's possible now. They conducted mind control experiments with LSD, electroshocks, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse. Jesus.
Good Lord.
Forced addiction and other forms of torture as part of MK Ultra. Reported psychics were used for espionage to quote unquote see into Soviet secure locations, sometimes with shockingly successful results, as part of the Stargate project. Okay, this is a fucking Stargate project? It's a goddamn sci-fi movie, dude.
Yeah. I am learning right now that so many movies are based in reality.
Yeah, what the hell?
This shit's insane.
They also studied even more eyebrow-raising topics like dream incursion and UFOs. Almost all of what we know about these types of experiments have been made public by the CIA under the Freedom of Information Act in the 90s and early 2000s. After the end of the Cold War, with little practical value to show for decades of investment, and with modern views on human experimentation shining new light on such studies, government funding ended and the reports from programs like Soviet parapsychology research and the Stargate project, no longer considered a national security threat, were released. I just love that like there was a point in time in our life where they considered parapsychology and psychics as a national security threat.
I know. It's just madness.
That's crazy.
Hard to wrap your head around nowadays thinking about all this crazy shit.
Despite persistent rumors that similar projects continue in secret, possibly under different names or within private research institutions, there is no evidence that either the US or Russia conduct government-funded psychic research today. Damn it. I want an army of psychics, man.
Why did they stop? We were getting somewhere.
Yeah, like right when it started getting good, you just did. Okay, maybe the sexual assault thing and the torture a little bit too far.
I know.
But
what the hell is that about? Like they were really desperate to find someone who had like superpowers.
I mean, I feel like the sexual assault was just an excuse to sexually assault someone. Like
probably.
Knowing them. Although there is a decent amount of public documentation on Nina Kulagina, many intelligence records for the Cold War era are still classified, making it difficult to determine if the public really has the full story. While mainstream science remains skeptical, her experiments have inspired numerous books, documentaries, and academic discussions on the nature of consciousness and human potential. The life of Nina Kulagina is still a controversial topic, dividing opinions of skeptics, agnostics, and science enthusiasts. Was she, as an American science columnist Martin Gardner accused her of being, a pretty, plump, dark-eyed little charlatan? What the fuck? Damn, Martin! Damn, just go straight for the jugular, why don't you?
I know, Jesus Christ.
With extraordinary sleight of hand skills and Wim Hof-like abilities to control her involuntary bodily functions, could she truly have fooled respected scientists under close scrutiny for decades? Or was she the real deal? Proof that there are many phenomena relegated to science fiction or conspiracy theories that are true, but we just don't understand yet.
Well, there you have it, folks. The crazy life of Nina Kulagina.
And proof that psychics are real.
And undeniable proof that psychics are real.
See, all we need to say is there's classified documents. So in my book, it's real.
I know. As long as there's, I know. I feel like
until I prove it otherwise,
I think sometimes scientists are put up on a pedestal when they shouldn't be, especially in situations like this when they're researching insane shit. Like, I don't know.
I feel like what happened was let's say she's fake, right? Which she's obviously not. She's not, obviously. But what if she is?
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, what if she is? They probably saw this, like this, sleight of hand trick as she's doing. And the first thing that came to their mind is somehow we can use this as a weapon. And they just like put loads of funding, everything into researching her in hopes that she's actually real and can become a weapon. But then they're just like, shit, no, I guess not. And then they just drop it.
This just makes me believe that people back then were all morons. They're all completely stupid people.
Yeah, scientists are stupid sometimes. Like, you got to be stupid in order to discover shit, right? You got to be dumb sometimes.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are psychics, like real ones. I'm
Dude,
sure there are.
There's gonna be so many psychics in the comments right now. I'll have you know, I've been a psychic for years. And it's gonna happen.
I don't know. I just feel like I've seen so many crazy magic tricks that I know are like magic tricks, but at the same time, like they fool me,
Yeah.
But I know it's not real. That this stuff, you would have to, I don't know.
Because
you would have to.
It's like the 60s. So I'm sure like sleight of hand tricks, because remember, she did quote unquote practice with her husband for a long time.
Yeah.
But again, the only unexplained thing is like the documentation of like how it affected her body. Unless she just like aggressively like clenched her body whenever she did stuff to like make it look real.
Yeah, I think she was weaponizing her PTSD from the war.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, leave in the comments. What do you guys think? Leave in the comments below. Or if you're listening on Spotify or whatever, just write it on a piece of paper and mail it to us. I don't know what you do on Spotify.
We're on Spotify, by the way. So if you'd rather listen than watch, then you can do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Look forward to more crazy stuff in the future. And thank you so much for watching.
See you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.